Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Finit's webinar for today. We're going to be discussing the dashboard bootcamp offering that we have, and we'll wait just maybe another 30 seconds or so, let other people join, and then we'll get going. So hold with us just for a moment. Okay, good morning, good afternoon again. Welcome to Finit's webinar discussing Dashboard Bootcamp. We're glad to have you with us today and hope that you'll get some useful information out of this content and something to take away to apply to your own implementations of OneStream. We're certainly glad to have you with us and hopefully you'll learn something interesting. My name is Cameron Miller. I'm with Finit in the West region and I lead all of our projects in this area. I'll do a quick introduction to who Finit is and our place in the OneStream market, and then I'll hand it over to Ben Holiday McCain, who will be leading us through the Dashboard Bootcamp content. Finit is a firm that started almost 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago now, and we're created to be intentionally different. And some of the things that guide the way that we operate are really our core values, most importantly of which is people over profit. That's evidenced by the fact that we incent and compensate our folks differently based on client success. And so our entire go-to-market strategy is to bring the best functional and technical capability that we can to our clients and make sure that they're extremely satisfied with the service that we offer. And then we make sure that that feedback is received and that goes into our model in terms of our growth and development and capabilities. And it really changes the orientation of how we engage with clients to ensure that we are focused solely and exclusively on your success and how you can grow and develop your capabilities without looking for our own interests first. And so everything that we do aligns with that goal of ensuring that you have the greatest value out of your experience with us, and that we can deliver amazing. That's supported by a firm that has a track record of less than 2% turnover, over an average tenure of 7 years, and our clients have trusted us now. Over 145 clients, purely just in the OneStream space, have trusted us to deliver over 450 projects for them. We're organized across 3 business units. Our first and primary business unit is implementation services. That is our core offering of delivering projects for clients and implementation of OneStream. That practice is then supported by our business unit that you'll hear from today around Expert Answers. Expert Answers covers a whole host of offerings around post-go-live support, solution sprints, ongoing enhancements, and kind of advice and counsel on how you can get more value out of your OneStream investment, and offerings like we'll explore today around Dashboard Bootcamp, which is really a learning and delivery capability that they bring to the market. Our last business unit is Solutions Hub. This is an offering of specific partner place solutions that we've developed and make available to the OneStream market that you can access from Partner Place. The Finit difference is really marked by a series of firsts. So as we have embarked on our journey with OneStream, we were the very first partner to come in and support and implement OneStream, had the very first client and the very first partner place solution or marketplace solution called Request It, which was acquired by OneStream and is now called Application Control Manager. So ACM inside of your applications that's available to all clients was developed originally by Finit and now is in the platform. And then we've gone on to develop additional tool sets like Drill It, Allocate It, and Toolkit, which hopefully you've heard about and can learn more about by going to our website. We're proud of the fact that we serve some of the largest and most complex clients. We have done significantly more projects than any other firm in the country, and we're the first to 145 clients plus and over 450 projects. We're 18 times diamond status is how we like to refer to it, and so that just indicates the breadth and depth of our capability. We have over 35 plus certified architects supported by over 100 additional staff team members, and combined over 1,000 years of CPM experience. Ben, I'll let you introduce yourself and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Cameron. Hi, everyone. I like to start these presentations off by saying, my name is Ben, and I love dashboards. And that's really all you need to know. But if you want to know a little bit more about me, I'm an associate director on our Expert Answers team. And I've been with Finit for about 5 years. Prior to that, I had CPM experience at another large medical device company. I live in Grand Rapids in Michigan, and you can see here, I collect a lot of hobbies. Recently, I've become a very big Lego enthusiast. It's a lot of fun because I really like building things, and as you'll see in this presentation today, I really have a lot of fun just building dashboards. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about first a couple of tips and then get into what Dashboard Bootcamp is by Finit. But before we get into that, just a couple quick reminders. Everybody is going to be muted on today's call. So please, if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature in Zoom here. We'll try and answer your questions on the call, but if we don't, we will respond via email. And definitely give us feedback. We want to hear how things are going with your OneStream applications, what you're most interested in, and let us know how we can continue supporting you. So with that, we'll talk about a little bit more of our agenda. And I will admit, I used ChatGPT to kind of come up with some ideas and on what I would call this first section. I did like the BuzzFeed version, you'll never believe these 7 hacks for better OneStream dashboards. Number 4 will definitely blow your mind. But what I finally decided on was 7 techniques to improve your OneStream dashboards. And what we find is that clients are using dashboards to really enhance their user experience for their OneStream users. And so what we want to show today is some ways that you can take that even to the next level. And then after that, we'll talk about Dashboard Bootcamp, what it is, how it might help you develop your own dashboards in your application. So let's get started with our tips. So the first tip that we have is creating a custom logon page for your end users. And basically what this is it's going to be a default dashboard that when the user logs in, that's what they're going to be first presented with. We love this because it vastly improves the user experience and gets the information to your users very quickly rather than having to poke around in the One Place tab and find what they need there. So how this works is very easy steps that you can do. One, you can install the marketplace solution, the admin solution tools from OneStream. And in there is a homepage manager. And it's really easy to do. You simply select the user or group that you want to set a homepage for. Then you select the dashboard. And then that's it. When the user logs in, they'll see a dashboard. So let's show an example of what this looks like. So I created a user here. I called him Dashboard Dave. And he's going to log on to this application here. And unfortunately, he sees this big blank white screen. So not the best user experience for Dave. So let's change that for him. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my admin solution tools here. I'm going to go to the homepage manager. And then here I'm going to find Dashboard Dave. And then I'm going to give him a dashboard here. I'm just going to call it One Place DBC. There it is. And I'm going to set that there. It'll give me a little confirmation. And so now let's see what happens when Dashboard Dave logs off and logs back in. Much better. So now Dashboard Dave can go learn more about dashboards here on this application. And another fun trick is that if Dashboard Dave ever gets lost, you can always click on this OneStream logo and it'll bring him back to his homepage. So again, really easy way to make a nice landing page for your users and get them to where they need to go. We especially love this for users that don't use OneStream a lot. So for example, you could build an executive dashboard and all the executive needs to do is log on to OneStream, see the information that they're looking for and log off. They don't have to spend any time in the One Place tab. All right. Tip number 2 is creating a reporting frame. And so what is this? This is essentially a dashboard frame that displays other dashboards and allows the user to navigate. So think about this as like a reporting portal. We love this because it really simplifies navigation for end users. And what you can do is group very disparate reports all together in one place for the user to access. So we'll show kind of what this looks like, but here's an example. So here I've got just a general reporting portal, and I've got a list of reports. And you can see that as I select one, it's going to launch it here in my pane here. If I select a different one, super easy. So then it's going to pull in a different dashboard. Now, these dashboards can live anywhere in your application. Doesn't have to be a part of the same maintenance unit or workspace. And that's why this is really powerful, is I can pull everything together and group it nicely for my end users. So how does this work? First, we're going to go look at our maintenance unit down here. I'm going to go to this. I have set up this one called dashboard report frame. And the first thing that we do is we set up a parameter, and we add in the reports that we want for the user to select from. All right, so here's my Finit reporting and analytics one, and then the dashboard accelerators. And I'll just add another one here, call it balance sheet analysis. And then I got to tell it what dashboard this actually is. A little comma there. So I can continue to add to this as I need to and as my dashboard solution grows. And basically what I do with this parameter then is I add it onto an embedded dashboard. Okay, so that's the trick here. Is normally when you create dashboards, as you create them, that creates an embedded one for you. But you can also create one like without an associated dashboard, put that parameter in there, and now it's going to reference any dashboard in the system. All right, and then last but not least, I add that embedded dashboard component in my main frame, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So now let's refresh this here, and I should be able to see my new balance sheet dashboard here, balance sheet analysis. There it is. Perfect. So again, another great way to group dashboards together for users so that they don't have to hunt and peck everywhere to find what they need. All right, so next we're going to turn into some formatting that we strongly recommend. And the first one is margins. All right, so this one's a really simple one. It's almost deceptively simple, but you'd be amazed at how big of a difference it makes in your dashboard's look and feel. And so all this really is adding margins around your components. All right, and you'll find that a little bit goes a long ways. Many components in OneStream have these settings, have margin settings, and dashboards have both margins and padding. So margins are going to be always on the outside, padding is on the inside. So let's look at an example of what this looks like when your dashboard does not have margins. Not bad. This is basically out of the box configuration. I just set up, added some parameters here, things like that. As I add margins, though, you'll see that it makes a huge difference, right? I added some space around here. I did update some of the font sizes and everything, but even adding some space around the bars here makes this a little bit easier to read. And so this really helps from a look and feel standpoint for your dashboards. So how to get this look is if we go back to our workspace here, and I'm going to go to the unformatted dashboard just to kind of show you where these settings are. I'm going to select a combo box here. Under display format, you'll find that if I click on that, this is what we're looking at, these margin left, top, right, and bottom. You can typically set this as a range from either 2 to 10 and kind of play with it to figure out what feels right. But again, this is a really great way to just make a little bit more space and add a little bit of polish to your dashboards. All right. So next up, going along the lines of this, of adding formatting to your dashboards, the next one is using colors and fonts, specifically using the colors and fonts of your company's branding. So why we really like this is it really starts to integrate the dashboard look and feel to align with your company's brand identity. Another kind of a benefit here is that if I have a report that looks like other company materials, I can take a screenshot of that and add it to a PowerPoint, and it'll feel right at home in there. So how to do this is we like to use literal parameters to store these settings. And you can have a parameter that stores your font, parameter that stores all the colors that you have, and then you just basically apply those onto your objects. So let's look at, again, our kind of standard dashboard. This is out of the box. I haven't done any sort of formatting on this. And again, it's workable. It's fine. But now when we actually add our colors and fonts, it really transforms the dashboard, right? So in this case, we've used Finit's branding, but you can see what a difference this makes. And this is the same dashboard. This is the same dashboard. All I did was added some more colors. And of course, I've got my margins in there. And so sometimes it might be nice to have a style guide for your dashboards as well. And this is something that's really, really simple to create and allows you to have a reference point to say, as you develop new dashboards, this is what you're going to be working with, right? So here you can see, again, here's all our colors. Here's some recommended fonts. We like to recommend some with sans serif. They're easier to read, especially on a screen for dashboards. And you can see here, I kind of added some fonts that we don't recommend. I don't even know what this first one is. It's so hard to read. I think it's Magneto. And then who doesn't love Papyrus and Comic Sans? But typically we don't see those in dashboards. All right. So that's colors and fonts. And then really quick to show what this looks like. As we go to our formatting here, let's look at this one. You can see that what I've done, actually, let's go look at this one, is I've got my formatting here. And like, again, here's my font color, Roboto. Here are the colors, and each one of these has that hex code that I can use, right? And just applying those onto my dashboard objects, such as my components or even the dashboard background itself, really makes it easy to bring in your own company's colors and fonts and make it look more cohesive. All right. So this is, let's see, this is going to be tip number 5 here, consistent formatting. All right. This is actually more of a developer tip. All right. And, obviously, like when we're creating content, we want things to be consistent and have a common look and feel. But one way to really achieve this effectively is by using literal parameters. So basically what we do is we set up parameters, and that's where we store all of our formatting for any components that we create. What this allows for is that consistent look and feel, but also makes updating a breeze, right? I only have to change my fonts and colors in one place rather than 20, 30, 50 different components in order to make things look consistent. So how do we use it? Well, we use the literal parameters in OneStream, and that's just going to hold a static value. And then we apply those literal parameters on any components that we build. All right. And then, like I said, as you're updating your dashboards and refining it, if a user says, hey, I don't like this font, I want to use something else, you can only change it in one place, and then it's going to affect everything. All right. So let's look at this example here first, where we've got our dashboard for literal parameters here. And again, this is just my one dashboard, very simple dashboard that allows the user to select point of view, and they can see the cube view and the data here in the chart. Now let's suppose that I want to change the font here. I'll go back to my workspace, and this is the dashboard that I'm currently working with. And let's just have a little fun and change it to Papyrus. Why not? We'll see this will be a good example of why this font does not work in dashboards. Let's refresh it here. And you can see here that just by making that one change on that one literal parameter, everything was updated. So next, let's look and see how we did that. So if we go look at let's take a combo box, for example, you can see that my display format is referencing that parameter. And then if I go look at that parameter there, you can see here that I've got I've got the settings that I need. So I've got the text color is going to be white. My font family is referencing that other literal parameter down here, so you can nest these. And then you can see here I've got font size, font family, etc. All of this stuff is here so that, again, as I'm creating new components, I only want to add this display format in the parameter setting so that I don't need to keep recreating the wheel. And just for fun, let's change it back to a real good font. Let's do enter. This one always looks nice. We'll refresh that here. All right. Now we're back to something that looks a little bit nicer. All right. So tip number 5 is dynamic formatting. All right. So now we're going to get a little bit more technical. We're going to show a business rule that helps you accomplish this. But basically what this is using, it's essentially conditional formatting. And you use a business rule to accomplish this. So when we're doing this, we are setting we're setting an XFBR on like the format, the display format. And based on certain parameters or certain conditions, if those are met or not met, it's going to return different formatting. So we love this because it's useful for so many different things. Oftentimes, if we're building out a dashboard with KPIs, we want to indicate if a number is good or bad, comparing it to another number, for example. So better, worse indicators. You can also do security-based navigation. So you can show or hide perhaps like a navigation button if a user is in a security group. So that's actually a formatting setting that you can do. So to do something like this, you're going to create an XFBR and write out the logic that you need. And then you basically apply that XFBR to call it on the components. So let's look at an example of this in play. So here we've got a dashboard. It's a very simple dashboard. I just wanted to spin something up to show this as an example. But here you can see I've got some conditional formatting happening on my key metrics here for net sales, operating expenses, cash, and income taxes. And you can see that depending on the comparison between my forecast, it's either better or worse. So my net sales was down compared to my forecast of 56. So it's going to conditionally format that red and going to return that kind of down triangle. And then if we look at operating expenses, well, those were lower than what I was expecting to spend. So that's green. That's good. So again, we can build that logic in here to really determine like what the data is going to show. Now, another trick that I've got here is depending on the page that the user's on, it's going to return different formatting. So this is another really simple one and really helpful for the user experience so that they know exactly what page they're on. Otherwise, if I click the button, it's like, okay, well, where am I? Well, now we know because of this conditional formatting. So let's look under the hood at how this works. I'm going to go to my webinar dashboard here, and I've got a maintenance unit called dynamic formatting.
You've been real quick. Sorry, while you're pulling that up, sorry to interrupt. We've got a couple of hands up in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't answer live, but please feel free to type your questions in the chat and the team will take those as they come in. Appreciate it.
Oh, cool. Thanks. All right. So where was I? So our buttons here. So these are our navigation buttons. And you can see that on my display format, I'm actually, instead of actually hard coding something here, I'm calling it XFBR. And so what this is saying is it's going to call this business rule here. And it's going to say in the function here, it's going to be get active state format. The indicator type that I want to pull back is formatting. The dashboard that I'm testing for here is this selected, this OS administration active state formatting. It's kind of a long dashboard name. And then I'm going to compare that to the current parameter value. So that's the current dashboard there. Then last but not least, I'm going to tell it what the inactive format I want it to return and active format I want it to return. Sounds like a complicated call, but let's actually look at the code to see. Basically what we're doing here is here's our formatting test, and we're saying, hey, does that dashboard match what's currently selected? Yes, return the active format. No, return the inactive format. All right. And then essentially what that's doing here then again is as we're clicking on these items, it's updating the format that it's presenting to the user. All right. And I'm doing something very similar with these key metrics here. A little bit of a different function here, but I can get really granular to say like, okay, depending on what account it is, here's what I want you to do, right? Or if it's a color that I want to return, I can get a lot more complex in my conditional formatting to decide what I want to be displayed to the end user. All right. So that is dynamic formatting. Again, it's a very useful tool to really kind of elevate your dashboards and get them to be much more dynamic than they would be otherwise. All right, so coming into our last tip here. This is a new feature from in version 8 in OneStream, and it is a game changer. So basically what this is, it's got kind of a fancy name, embedded dynamic repeater. But what we're doing here is we are creating templates of dashboard components. And when the user runs the dashboard, it's going to repeat that template over and over, depending on the settings that we've put in. So this is easier shown than actually like talk about. But basically we're going to, the steps to do this is you still create a template component. And then you add these new types of parameters with the tilde instead of the pipe. All right. And so those are going to be for settings that vary. Then we create a dashboard template with our templatized component. And then we embed that dashboard onto a regular dashboard and call it, and then we decide what we want to be repeated on that. Again, that was kind of a word salad. So let me just show what it looks like. So we actually have already seen an example of this in this style guide here. All right. So you might be surprised to know that this little dashboard here only has one label component in it. That's it. So how did we make this happen? So let's go back to our workspaces here. And I've got a maintenance unit called embedded dynamic repeaters. So like I said, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create my my component and start to put in parameters for where I want to add it at runtime. So I'm going to say I want to label text, I want the tooltip, and then I've got a bunch of other formatting settings here. So like I'm going to indicate if I want it to be bold, true or false, what the font family is, that sort of thing. The next step is to create that dashboard template. And so here it is. This one's really easy. But I can even add other settings here, kind of other template settings here. So like a background color, that sort of thing. Now, if I just run this on its own, it's not gonna do anything, right? It's just gonna say this label text. Where the magic happens, however, is if we look at this dashboard. So this is a new type of dashboard in version 8, and it's called embedded dynamic repeater. And then once you change your dashboard to that and click on collection, this is where you add in that information. So for example, my primary blue. So remember that parameter that we called label text? Well, that's where I'm saying primary blue. And then the tooltip that I want to show up, that's their primary colors. All right. So if we wanted to create something new, we could say, let's do accent gold. And I'm just going to copy from this one here, paste it here. And then my colors the font that I want to show up here, I want to say gold, accent gold. Use the hex color or hex code. And then since I'm using my literal parameters, type that in there, click OK. And now let's run this one. And there's my new item that I added. All right. So it's very easy. I don't have to create a billion different components anymore to get the dashboard that I want. You create that one template and then customize it in the dashboard layer so that when it gets run, it's going to do it dynamically. All right. And then last but kind of one more thing related to this embedded dynamic repeaters is the same way that we created this dashboard here with the data card. So here's that data retrieve. And you can see here's where I'm starting to templatize my settings here. And then when I'm actually running it, I'm setting those values here. So I could easily add another KPI here, right? To let's say I wanted to do like EBITDA. I could add another line here, basically copy from a previous line, add it to here, and then it's going to run that, right? All right, so that is our 7 tips. And before we move on to the dashboard bootcamp demo, we do have a couple of poll questions. So let's run those. I was supposed to do one of these at the very beginning, but let's do the first poll question. How satisfied are you with your current reporting dashboard experience in OneStream? And we'll see if we have time at the end to talk about the results. But if you can take a second to fill that one out.
Yeah, just a reminder, please feel free to enter any other questions into the chat. We will definitely answer all of those as we go. And if we don't get to it during the webinar, we'll send those out shortly after. Thanks.
All right, maybe another 10 seconds here to answer that poll question. All right. Thanks, Greg. Let's close that one, and then we'll do the next one here. And the next one is going to be, what is your primary challenge with OneStream dashboards? All right, we'll do another 10 seconds here on that. All right. Like I said, we'll share the results of those at the end of today's session. But let's now turn our focus now on Dashboard Bootcamp. So what this is our answer to the response that we hear a lot is we want our OneStream dashboards to function like what we saw in the sales demo. We hear this a lot where it's like dashboards are really hard to build, like we don't know where to start with them. And so what we decided to do is build basically a training around dashboards, and we called it Dashboard Bootcamp. And there's a couple of different things that we want to talk through about what this is. So like I said, it's primarily a training. So we have live training sessions that we go through all of the different, we start off with the technical aspects of dashboards. So the different components, how to use parameters, what are data adapters, things like that, and show kind of the building blocks to creating a dashboard. Beyond that, though, then we start talking about requirements and design, right? So those are often even more tricky than just understanding how the components work, because it requires you to start putting things together. After that, we work together to build a hands-on prototype of a dashboard for you. So in this bootcamp, you're going to create your own dashboard solution that you can promote, that you can basically publish in production. And then we wrap up the dashboard bootcamp with a delivery and roadmap session. So now that you've created something amazing, how do you maintain it and continue to evolve it so that it's always going to meet user needs? So as you go through the build sessions, we will do coaching sessions with you to jump on a call and say, like, check on the build, see how it's going, answer some tricky questions, and share a lot of the tips that we, in addition to what you saw today, kind of things that we've seen that worked well to solve these problems. So yeah, kind of a summary on the training side of that is that it's, live training sessions. And throughout that series we'll build together a dashboard with you. The second part of it is access to our Dashboard Bootcamp application. And that's actually what we're in right now. So I built this entire presentation today in this Dashboard Bootcamp application. And this is where you can get a deeper dive of dashboard topics. Somebody called it kind of the YouTube for dashboards. And we love that because we want this to be a ever-growing library of content that you could learn how to do different dashboard techniques. In addition to that, so in addition to the training content, we also have dashboard accelerators. So again, kind of going back to the idea of we've seen a lot of dashboards in our day. We've built a lot of them. We don't want you to recreate the wheel. So we've built many different accelerators, anything from charts and graphs to kind of some of like that data card that we saw earlier, so that you have a template that you can build from and have a solid starting point. If we go back to our Lego analogy, right? So the components, this is where you learn about all the different brick pieces. This is where you actually can build from a set, right? So everything can kind of come together based on what you've learned, and then having that solid starting point with the accelerators. Throughout the whole Dashboard Bootcamp experience is you also get a really comprehensive exercise guide. So one thing that we've heard a lot of is like, hey, when I do a training, like I'm not building a dashboard in my application. And so we wanted to flip that and actually create a dashboard that you could create in your own environment through this exercise guide. So we start from literally nothing. We start from scratch, and we show you the steps on creating your first workspace, creating a maintenance unit, creating components, adding those components to a dashboard. And as we go through that exercise guide, you'll continue to evolve it and iterate over it to refine the design, the solution. And that's really important because a lot of what dashboard development really is that iterative process. And so that's what we wanted to get across in addition to the technical trainings. So here's kind of what the whole Dashboard Bootcamp program looks like. It's divided into 5 units, and we start off with that technical training. All right, so there's 2-hour trainings here for the technical content. And in addition to that, we also have the Dashboard Bootcamp application with all of these different topics that cover the technical components much more in depth. And then this is also when we have that self-guided exercise to start building your own dashboard. Then we move on to requirements and design. And so now that you've got an understanding of the technical components, the pieces, right, the Lego pieces, now we're going to start to take those pieces and draw out a design of what we want to build. And this is where we're going to build a dashboard in your application, right? This is for your end users. And so we go through like how to conduct requirement sessions, how to translate those requirements into a solid design. And then the real fun begins with our first prototype build. So that's our foundation for the solution. We walk through that with you and get you started to write. And then last but not least, we transition over to the build. And that's you building with our help, right? So again, this is all about empowering admins and client developers to build their own dashboards, right? So this is really going to take your dashboard experience to that next level and give you the skills to do that. So like I said, in that build section, that's when we will meet with you with dashboard coaching sessions to guide the build, to answer some of the difficult questions, to make sure that that you're getting as much out of it as possible. Like we really want you to end up with an amazing dashboard at the end of this. And then last but not least, once the build is done, we talk about, again, how do we migrate it to production? How do we make sure end users can access it? How do we continue to evolve it, right? Most dashboard development is kind of never done, quite frankly. There's a constant evolution, especially as users start to use it and they want changes or additions, things like that. So we really want to empower you with a roadmap and playbook of how to handle those changes once it's live. All right. So what does this look like from a time commitment perspective? This is kind of a rough outline, and I say rough because we're pretty flexible at how this works, right? But the main training series that we have is with that onboarding and technical training. Technical training, like I said, is 2 2-hour sessions or 4 1-hour sessions. Then there's 2 hours, one for requirements and one for design. We spend about an hour together doing that prototype build. And then the build sprints, we recommend spending around 16 hours over a period of 2 to 3 weeks to actually do the build. And that's when we'll check in with you and see how things are going and, help out with things at that sort of thing. And then like at the end of it, we wrap up with that delivery and roadmap. So before we kind of get into the last parts of this, I do want to take a minute and show how the Dashboard Bootcamp application works. Again, we built this as a dashboard in OneStream. It's very meta. It's a dashboard teaching about dashboards. But here we have the landing page, and we saw this earlier from Dashboard Dave. And what we've done is we've created a bunch of different sections, and this lines up with the program overview, right? So here's our getting started, and then our dashboard objects. This is the technical training. So if I click into that, I can see I've got categories for each of the dashboard objects in OneStream. And if I want to know more about something, I can, let's say I click on components and I want to learn more about a label. We have over 40 videos on the different dashboard topics in here. So I can watch a video of how it works, learn how it works here. And then in several of these, we also have a kind of an exploration module. And so this is where I can see, okay, based on the settings that I'm putting in here, dashboard, bootcamp, webinar, we can refresh it and see kind of what these different settings do for my components. So this is really useful because oftentimes it can be really tricky to figure out like, okay, what do these settings do? So let's say this is going to be 45. We're going to make it bold. And then, yeah, sure. Why not Papyrus? You know I was going to do it. There we go. All right. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But again, we wanted to make this a really experiential so you had simulations so you can see how these things work. And of course, if I want to, look up other content here, I can look up great dashboard data set. Could go in there and see an example of what this is and how it works. We are continually evolving this content and adding to it based on new developments that OneStream has. And you'll notice like I don't have a video on every single component here. We wanted to start with the most common items, especially with components, so the most commonly used ones. But we work on this every week. We're adding new content. So, and one of the benefits of being in the bootcamp is that if you want something specific, we will put training content out here for you. So if you don't see something that you need, we will make it happen for you. So that's an example of kind of the content here out in the Dashboard Bootcamp training library. Like I said, there's also the dashboard accelerators. And so what this is, again, is these are our starting points that we have. And so these are common things that we've created that we wanted to create this just one kind of a template that you can use to start from. So in here, I can go in here and say, let's show me some examples of just like regular dashboard layouts, right? And as I navigate through these, if I find one that I like, here's an example of a landing page. Here's this. This might look familiar. This is how I built my presentation today, this layout here. But as I see one that I like, I can select it and come down here and start to add it to my cart, right? So solution suffix, I'm going to call this webinar. Well, we'll just say Webby. Workspace, call this DVC webinar demo. And then maintenance unit, I'm going to say this is main. All right, and then I can add this solution to my cart. And it's going to say, great, you got it. And then I can look in here and see different components. So here's an example of that data card that I created. So again, it looks familiar because I use this to develop the webinar today. I downloaded this from the template and then customized it as I needed to. So yeah, why not? We'll add that one to our cart. And then let's say we want some examples of visualizations. We can do area graph. We'll do a pie chart. I always joke that I don't really like charts that are named after food, but for today, we'll go with it. If you want something really wild, we can do a sand key diagram. We'll add that. And then who does not love a waterfall chart? We will add that one as well. All right. So once I've added those and I feel like, oh, yep, that's good enough to start my solution, I can go here to review cart. And if I want to remove these or close this and add some more, I can do that. But I'm just going to check out here. What this is going to do is it's going to create a zip file for you and store it up here in your file share. And so if I go to users, here I am. Here's my custom dashboard accelerators folder. And this is the one that it just created for me. So I'm going to download this. Put it on my desktop. And then since I just want to stay in this application here. So what I'll do is I'll go to my application load and just load that in. And actually, before I do, I just want to show one more time. So this workspace is not in here. All right. So we're going to see a new one added here. Here it is. Here's my zip file with everything. I'm going to upload that. And then let's go back to my workspaces and refresh. And where is it? Oh, here it is, DBC webinar demo. Okay, it took me a second. All right, so now in my own application, I have all of these examples, right? So I can go run these individually, but really the best feature here is that now I can see like, well, how did Finit do it? How did they set this up? So if I want to go here to my area graph, things like this, I can see, okay, it's got a data adapter. Here's the settings that it has on it, that sort of thing. And then I can go back to my main dashboard here. And I'm going to do this kind of fast, but I'm just going to remove those templates there. And then I'm going to add the components that I downloaded. So we will add these 3 charts. And then we will also add the sand key diagram. Save it. And then run it. And then great. Now I've got a good starting point for my dashboards. Now, obviously, like I did this all within the same application. So we're not going to see, and like if you were to run this today in your own application, you'd have to set up the cube view that these charts are based on. And you'd still have to configure kind of what these buttons do when the user clicks on them or remove them, things like that. So there is like additional configuration step, of course. But the nice thing is that most of the heavy lifting is done, right? Now it's just a matter of tinkering. And so that's why, again, going back to that Lego analogy, it's building from the set, right? It's like we've given you the pieces that you need. Now it's just kind of making it your own and going from there. Like I said, for accelerators, we're constantly adding to this. We've, as we get requests, both from other people that work at Finit, as well as from clients, we're continuing to add examples of accelerators and common starting points to continue growing this library. So that's a little bit about the Dashboard Bootcamp. Let's go back to my webinar and just kind of end things here with what this looks like from a cost perspective and just kind of a summary level of what this looks like. So the total bootcamp, including the training, that gets 6-month access to the Dashboard Bootcamp asset library, which includes those on-demand videos and as well as the accelerators. There's 12 hours, I would say 12 hours minimum of training and coaching, advisory support throughout the engagement. So like, we want you to ask us questions. Like we want to help out. We want you to learn how to do these things. So throughout the engagement, like you have access to your dashboard coach to be able to ask questions and get help. We say 2 dashboards that can be deployed in a client environment. We have some clients that are doing even more. I would say that's a minimum of what you can get out of this, because each user can build kind of their own subpage of things like that. So, and then in addition to that, beyond just the boot camp, that the initial series, like we want to stay involved. We want to continue helping out. And so we've got invitations to monthly webinars after boot camp is over. And those can be, things where we'll have special topics as well as kind of dashboard AMAs, right? Ask me anything. And of course, who doesn't love a new skill set to continue developing dashboards? For the full boot camp, it's 20,000 for up to 3 attendees, and you can add more. And then if you did not want to do like the full training, we also offer access just to the asset library, and that's 5,000 per year. And again, that content is continually, we add to it, we evolve it, and we take requests. So if there's things that you want to see how we would solve for it, we do take requests on those. So yeah, so that is everything. Right before we end, let's do one more poll question. And I'm just curious. I'd like to know kind of what tips did you find the most useful today out of this? I like them all equally. They're like my children, but I'll try not to influence the polling here. All right, and then with that, we can pass it on over to Cameron. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this wonderful stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us today. Hopefully you found some helpful information out of this session today. And certainly if you're looking for more, feel free to reach out to us at our personal emails are available there for you. You can always contact us at insights@finit.com. And Joe and Greg's email addresses are there as well. If you'd like to learn more about this offering, you can go to finit.com/dashboard, excuse me, -boot-camp, and learn more about this offering and capability. Again, thank you very much for joining with us today, and have a wonderful rest of your week. And we will send out the recording of this session as soon as we can get it prepared and available to you all. And look forward to talking with you again in the future. Take care.